My wife had a soulmate. Spoiler, it wasn't me. And the day she asked me to publicly apologize to him, I exposed his affair instead.
Before Michelle, I thought marriage was supposed to be a partnership, two people choosing each other every day, building a life side by side. But with her, I learned something much uglier. You can be legally married to someone and still feel like the side character in your own story. Worse, you can be the third wheel in your own marriage. When we first started dating, I ignored the red flags because Michelle made me feel chosen. She laughed at my jokes, found my quirks adorable, and listened like my stories mattered. But every time she mentioned Derek, her best friend from college, her voice softened in a way it never did for me. At first, it didn't bother me. I had my own lifelong friend, Jake, so I figured it was normal. But Derek wasn't normal. Derek was a constant. He was in every conversation, every plan, every decision. When Michelle talked about him, she glowed. When she talked about me, she sounded like she was giving a weather report. The first real punch to the gut came when I booked a romantic mountain getaway, just the two of us. Hot tub, dogs allowed, remote trails, the whole fantasy. She looked at the reservation, smiled, and said, "Should we invite Derek and his wife Sarah?" I laughed, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. She looked offended that I didn't immediately agree. That weekend turned into a double date I had never asked for. Derek talked for hours. Michelle hung on to every word. Sarah sat silently, like she'd long resigned herself to living in Derek's shadow. I should have walked then. I didn't. Love makes fools out of steady men. Derek slowly invaded every part of our lives. He helped name our dog, Biscuit, overriding my choices because Michelle insisted Derek's ideas were classic. He weighed in on our groceries. He called during our dinners. He texted her late at night to discuss documentaries. He had opinions about our furniture, our vacation plans, our weekends, and Michelle let him. No, she encouraged it. The worst was when she asked Derek to help with the final decision about the apartment we were going to rent together. I thought we were the ones living there. Apparently he had veto power. But the moment everything snapped into place happened on a random Tuesday in our living room. I suggested taking a weekend trip together, just us. Michelle's face lit up. Great! Let's ask Derek and Sarah. Derek knows an amazing place in Vermont. She wasn't picturing a romantic weekend with her husband. She was picturing Derek. That was when I realized the truth. Derek wasn't her best friend. He was her soulmate. I was the placeholder. But the breaking point came when she suggested that Derek and I should bond. Just the two of us. She acted like she was arranging peace talks between rival countries. She even sent me a list of conversation topics like I was a child going on his first playdate. So I went. The man showed up in khakis that cost more than my monthly car insurance and ordered a beer whose name sounded like a riddle. He started harmless, bragging about work, vacations, and his tailored shirts. Then 3 beers in, he dropped the bomb. "You ever get bored of loyalty?" I thought he meant professionally. Nope. He confessed sloppily, proudly, that he'd been cheating on Sarah for 6 months with some coworker named Amanda. He described the hotels, the burner email, the excuses. He laughed about it like it was a hobby. This perfect man Michelle worshipped was a scam artist, a fraud, a coward. He begged me not to tell anyone. Texted me the next morning to make sure I stayed quiet. I saved the message. Something in me knew I might need it someday. And oh, did I, because a few weeks later, while I was showering, Derek let himself into my home, using his spare key. The key Michelle had given him without telling me. That was the day my marriage officially died. When I confronted Michelle about boundaries, she acted like I was the unreasonable one. Like wanting privacy was a moral failure. She staged an intervention, with Derek accusing me of insecurity and jealousy. They talked to me like I was a misbehaving toddler. Then Michelle delivered the line that sealed the fate of our marriage. "You need to apologize to Derek, a real apology." In his home. In front of Sarah, I nodded, agreed, smiled, and started planning. I spent the next 3 days rehearsing the apology Michelle wrote on purpose. Let her think she'd won. Let her think I was submitting. Let her think she controlled the narrative. Saturday night came. We sat in Derek and Sarah's living room, wine glasses, cheese tray, staged perfection. Michelle squeezed my hand like a proud director about to watch her actor deliver a performance. I started slow, gentle, vulnerable, everything she trained me to be. "I've been dealing with insecurity," I said. "And I want to apologize, not just to you, Derek." His smile spread. The man actually puffed up. "But to Sarah." The room froze. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you about Derek S. affair when he confessed it to me last summer." Michelle gasped. Sarah blinked. Derek tried to speak, but panic strangled the words. I pulled out my phone and showed Sarah the text where Derek begged me to keep quiet. Sarah snapped.